Hey everybody, welcome to Stewie's Thoughts Podcast, episode 70. And in this episode, I'm going to give you my thoughts about HGV slash semi-truck driving. The reason why I say semi-truck driving is because I have a few listeners in America, Canada, where they say semi-truck instead of HGV. They probably don't even know what HGV means. So if you're watching this, HGV means heavy goods vehicle. I had to think about that there. But before we get stuck into it, I am going to give you my thoughts about what I've been up to recently. Now, as you can see behind me, I have been hard at work today, laying some bricks. See that? See that? Putting up a few pictures as well. I have begun to sort out my studio, and it's, I'd say, about halfway done. I've still got a few, hang on. Wrong button yet again. So as you can see, I have been laying some bricks, putting up some pictures, and just to let you know, this is not real brick. I'm not a bricklayer. Turns out I'm good at putting up vinyl. Who would have knew? So yeah, I've been doing that all day today, and stressful. You ever try putting up vinyl? It's difficult. This thing was like sticking. You know, like if you unravel some sellotape and then it sticks together and then you're trying to prise it apart. That's basically what I've been doing all day, but with this kind of stuff. Nightmare. Absolute nightmare. I mean, the lights, they were easy to put up. But we've got a massive white bit here on the wall. And that's not a wall, that's actually a roof. A ceiling. And I've got a flag. I actually made my own flag, believe it or not. And that's going to go up here. I've got a few ideas to put some chessboard pieces up here and some Rubik's cubes, or you know, there's going to be a lot more stuff being put up behind me, and it's looking good. It's looking good, so I'm pretty happy about that. And that's what I've been up to today. And it's took me what time are we on now? 5 hours. 5 hours it took me to do what you see right now. 5 hours. Cat came in, was messing around with all the stuff that I had laying around. So it's like, you can see that I'm busy. Right? This is for anybody who has a cat. You can see, the cat can see that you're doing something. It knows that you're busy. Yet it comes in and starts meowing at you, wanting food. And I'm like, oh, do you want me to go down and get you some food? Meow, meow. Even, you know, I'll just stop everything that I'm doing and I'll go down and then I'll feed you, even though there was already food in your dish. So went down, give her some food, and then topped up her water, and she just looked at me. Meow. And then I went back up here, started doing this again, and then she was like, right there, meow. And like, I needed to get somewhere, like I needed to get over there, and she's like, there. I needed to get over there, she's there. I'm like, move, man at work here. But that's what I've been doing today. And the other night, so not last night, but the night before, I was flicking through Netflix like an absolute twat. And if you've got Netflix, and you have Netflix, and you've had it for a while, should I say, there's nothing on there. Like, it's you spend most of your time flicking through Netflix. Like, more time flicking through Netflix than actually watching a movie. Netflix, like, they make it look like they've got loads of movies and stuff, but they don't. They just like repeat the movies like in every single category. Romantic, comedy, Terminator, something like that. Horror, Terminator. Science fiction, Terminator. Pick the best category. Not put them in every single one. Do you know what I mean? So I'm flicking through there. Kirsty's sitting next to me, and then she was like, oh, we got 3 months free Disney Plus. And I just looked at her like, why didn't you tell me this? Why am I sitting here flicking through Netflix for about an hour before you told me? So anyway, as soon as I heard that we had Disney Plus, I was like, get in, because there's this program, this TV series that I wanted to watch so bad for ages, and it's called Say Nothing. So if you're from Northern Ireland, or if you've got an interest in like Northern Irish things, watch that. It is good. So there's the first series is out, and there's 9 episodes. The first night I watched 7 episodes, and each one's like 50 minutes long. I just binge watched the whole thing, and it's basically about the woman who got kidnapped, Jean McConville. So she got like kidnapped from like in front of her kids and all this kind of stuff. And to this day, like, I'm not too sure. They actually, I think they found a body. I'm not too sure, but it's really good. So I think I was like flicking through TikTok or something like that, and then somebody was mentioning it. Like it was a big budget sort of TV series that Disney made. So I was like, I need to watch that. That's right up my street. And then yeah, amazing. So if you're looking for something to watch and you've got Disney Plus, Say Nothing is amazing. And there's a lot of things about like Jerry Adams and stuff in it. And at the end of every episode, it was like Jerry Adams he's completely denied being in the IRA and all this kind of stuff, like after every single episode. So he's obviously clearly, you know, said to them like, I don't believe that what you're portraying as me is correct, you know, something like that. But it's a really good watch. So if you're looking for something to watch, Say Nothing on Disney Plus, amazing. I've got one episode left. I watched one last night, and can't wait for the second series. I don't know how many series they're gonna have of it, but it's a good watch. So that's what I've been up to the other day. And work wise, so I was out drawing caricatures at a place called Cross Houses. So Cross Houses is a little village near Shrewsbury in Shropshire. And I'll tell you what, see a thing about that place, right? It's a Christmas fair. So it's Cross Houses' big Christmas fair. And I've been going there for 5 years in a row. 5 years in a row. I started going out drawing caricatures in 2020. And I started in March. And then Cross Houses was one of the first Christmas fairs. In fact, it was the first Christmas fair I ever went to. And I did really well. And everybody loved me there. And I was like, wow, this place is amazing. And I've been going back every single year since. And it looks like I'm going to be going back next year as well. Because it's like, it's such a lovely community. Like, everyone's so nice and they're so welcoming. Even though I'm not from that area. I used to live in Shrewsbury, but I'm not from Cross Houses. And a lot of the people who are there, like, who sell stuff, and like, they're all from the area. Well, most of them are. So me not being from there, it almost feels like I'm part of the community because the way they treat you, basically. But they're really nice. The people who organize it were amazing. And because I've been going there for 5 years solid every year, I thought this year with the cost of living, and basically it's going to be hard this Christmas for people to buy stuff because nobody's got any money. The cost of living, COVID, all that kind of stuff is taking an effect on people. Like, they can't afford stuff. And last Christmas, they've been using like credit cards and stuff. Now they're having to pay that off. And this year they're like, well, we've got no money. So I thought, well, what if I help by just doing free caricatures? So what happens is people give me their phone, and then I draw from their phone, and then I wrap it up for them, and then they give them to people as a gift for Christmas. So I think I did about 50, somewhere in and around that. And there you go. There's 50 free Christmas presents that I handed out, basically. So pretty happy with that. Day before that, which was Saturday, did something. I don't even know what date it is. Today is Tuesday. Monday, Sunday was the Cross Houses thing. And then on Saturday, I did a wedding at the Lion Keys, which is in Shropshire, near Wrexham. If anybody knows Wrexham, if you've heard of Wrexham, I'm sure you probably have, with the football team and Ryan Reynolds, all that kind of stuff. It's near there. And that was Ebony and Kyle's wedding. I was only there for like 3 hours, and I don't really like doing the 3 hour package, because if you've got like 100 people at your wedding and I'm only there for 3 hours, 100 people want it. But obviously, I'm only going to be doing about 40 people, and then you've got like 60 people going, no, what one? And I'm like, well, it's my time to go. And they're like, I'll just do one. Just stay and do one. And I'm like, if I stay and do one for you, I'm going to have to stay and do one for them and stay. Next thing you know, I'm there for like 5 hours. So you have to just say to them, like, unfortunately, it's my time to go. I was going to do like a sad thing there, but so that was good though. The 3 hours that I was there, I mean, they did like a sing-along type thing, like a competition, which was pretty cool. So they were like split up in all these different teams, and then like each table was a team basically, and then they were playing a song, and then they stopped the song, and then the tables and stuff, they had to like sing the rest of the song, and then whoever got it right won prizes and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty good. I just made up my own word there. It was pretty good. The only thing I will say, some of them singing, I mean, I can't sing, but it was really good. Very lively when that was happening. And, you know, sometimes if you're waiting for like a room to change around at a wedding, you know, you have me there to draw and entertain people and stuff and all. But when you actually have the bride and the groom singing standing on tables and everyone was involved, it was really good. And it lasted for about half an hour, but it was like the atmosphere that it created was just amazing. So well done to you, Ebony and Kyle, for doing that, because I didn't really see that much at the weddings, and that was pretty good, I must say. What are we on? 12 minutes? Other than that, I haven't done anything since the last podcast. And for all you audio listeners who's been listening for a while, and I would suggest go on YouTube, because you can actually watch this now, and on Spotify as well. I tested it out. So my last podcast was a beta test. So I tested out the video quality and all that kind of stuff, and then the upload times, and tell you what, it takes ages uploading to YouTube. I think it took about 40-50 minutes. So whereas before doing the audio, I was literally like done an hour podcast, recording it, an hour, uploading it, 5-10 minutes. See now, this video stuff, it's going to be like an hour uploading and then like an hour doing a podcast. So I'm going to give myself sort of 2 hours a day doing this. So if I've got 2 hours free, I'm doing a podcast. And also, I like all day yesterday, actually, it took me about another 3 hours. My branding, I designed that myself. I drew it and stuff, and I was like, how am I going to get this? How am I going to turn it into a video? And I had to use like AI. Tell you one thing, right? Every single website I went onto, they were like, sign in first, create an account first. No, I just want one video. I don't want a monthly subscription. And then you have to read the terms and conditions, right? Because it's like billed annually, but you pay monthly for it. So I'm like, is it pay monthly? But then I did see one that was like cancel anytime, 7-day free trial. So I was like, that's the one there. So I did that, animated the little picture thing there. So it was like talking into the mic. So I was like talking into the mic and stuff, and it turned out really well. And but you can only have like 5 seconds, and the intro was like 21 seconds. I got 21 seconds. And so I had to like come up with some sort of way to have like a start animation sort of intro, like a theme tune, and but by using that. So that took me ages to do, but I managed to do that. So that's why I don't play the intro like I used to after I, introduced the podcast, the episode. So now it's going to be more like a TV sort of program type thing, where you have like an intro at the beginning, and then boom, I start talking, and then at the end I'll play the same intro. The only thing I have to figure out now is the YouTunes advert. So my business, I created my own advert, and I need to find out some way of putting that in to the episodes. Once I do that and put a few more things up around here, we're done. Then I can focus on the actual podcast. I did chat to GPT, and it was saying, I said, I've done 70 episodes. Like when does it really take off, type of thing? And it was saying, well, it's usually around 100 and 150 episodes, and then that's when things start, escalating. So according to ChatGPT, I'm doing everything right, apparently. So I'm following the steps that I should be doing, rather than, not getting any help. Doing this all by myself is slowing the process down. I just don't know why people just don't help each other. What about it? But there you go. So let's get stuck into the topic, shall we? Normally I would actually play the intro and stuff. Normally I would play the intro and then start talking about the topic, but we're just going to get stuck into it. HGV driving, or semi-truck if you're American. I have my HGV. I've had my HGV for... When did I get it? I got it in 2015, I think. Yeah. So 10 years, if my math is correct. I've had my HGV for 10 years. Now, I got mine in the army, the military, right? Now, whenever you get your HGV license, what they do is they basically they give you your driving license first, your car license if you don't have one. I lived in Belfast. I didn't need a car. So I just literally just get the bus everywhere because like in Belfast, especially if you live near the town centre, you just literally walk down the bottom of your street. There's a bus stop and a bus comes every like 2 minutes or every 10 minutes. So like, why do you need a car? The transport system in Northern Ireland is really good, especially the buses. And I didn't need a car, so I never bothered getting one. It was only until I came over to here, to Britain, that I was like, oh, everything's, far away. And the buses are like every hour. And sometimes there's not even a bus stop. The bus, you just stand, people are just standing at the side of the road. And then the bus stops for them. Like, yeah, it made sense to get a car, but with the military, they give you your license anyway because, you could be in a war zone or something like that. And if your driver gets shot, touch wood he doesn't, but if he does and you're the only person there, you're going to have to drive that vehicle, even though you're not a driver. So they give you your license for that reason. And then same again with the HGV. Like some of the trucks that the military use are like, certain weights, because I think it's over 3.5 tons. If you've got like a vehicle that's over 3.5 tons, you need a car license won't do it. You need like I can't even remember now. A C license. So because of the vehicles are heavy, same again, if somebody crashes, you need to take over that vehicle. Crashes, if somebody dies, to get shot or whatever, or injured, you need to take over that vehicle. You need to know how to drive it. So that's why they actually give you your HGV in the army. So what they do is once they give you your driving license, then, I got mine after training. And then whenever you go to your unit, it's not that long before they actually give you your HGV. So they put you on a course. So they'll give you your C first, and then your C plus E, which is this semi-truck. But the C is like the rigid ones. And so they give you that, and it's literally like a week. So they do the rigid one first, the C, and that's like a week long, I think. Was it a week or 2 weeks? I think it was a week. And they've got like people that come in and train you on it. So they'll bring a vehicle in, and then you with somebody else. So you'll have you and then one of your fellow soldiers, and then you've got your driving instructor, and then he takes you out for like a week. But then all of the like the reversing and parking and all this kind of stuff, it's all done in camp. So it's like there's no like other vehicles on the road or anything like that. So and also they put like tape, especially in the semi truck ones, the HGV ones, the articulated ones. They put like tape on it and stuff, and also when you're reversing, you just line up the tape with what you can see, and then it's all made very easy for you, and it's pretty much just like, oh, you can do that, right? Tick on the box, there you go. Now you can drive HGV. But then when you go out to the real world and you go through country lanes, or you're going through industrial estates and then backing on a bay, they don't teach you any of that. So whenever you're actually out in the real world, you're crashing into everything. And whenever I left the regular army and then I started HGV driving, I was just crashing into fences and all sorts of stuff for like the first year. And you're driving along, poof, there goes your wing mirror, and you're like, what the hell? So it's quite I don't know what civilian ones like. Like, do they take you to industrial estates, and do they teach you how to back onto a bay? I don't know. But in the military, they don't. It's literally like, put 2 cones out, right? Reverse park there. Do you do it? Yes, right. Boom. You can now drive HGV. And then yeah. But then when you go into the real world, it's a totally different story. So I got mine. It was literally 1 week, and then I got my C license. And then I think about 2 weeks later, I did my C plus E, which is your rigid, your articulated vehicle. And I think within a month I had both. And then you don't drive it then. You literally have it, and then about 3 years later, You leave the army, but you've got the license, and then you apply for a driving job, and then you're like, wow, I haven't drove a truck in like 3 years, and now I have to back into the street. I mean, some of the jobs I've had, HGV driving job. Are you in an articulated lorry? Yes. Back into that cul-de-sac there. Cul-de-sac? Aye. There's a farm you need to get to. Now, any of you HGV drivers, I'm gonna tell you what it's like driving, and I know for a fact any HGV drivers out there, you're gonna relate to this. You're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about because we've all been through it. So yeah, so once I got my license and then left the army, I started working for like all these little small like companies and stuff. I started with the rigid first because I was scared to drive an articulated one on my own. So I started driving like rigids. So rigids is, I don't know how to explain that to an American. Not an articulated vehicle. So like a delivery driver, something like that. So I started working for like small little companies that had small vehicles. And I did rigid for about a year and crashed into pretty much everything you could crash into. Some of my crash stories, I was delivering to the house. So I was delivering solar panels and I had to like back out and then I hit someone's fence, but I didn't know I hit it. And then I just drove off because it was like a wooden fence, so I didn't know. And then next day, my boss pulls me in. He's got all these, sheets of paper with like photographs of the damage, photographs of the truck that I was driving. And they're like, yeah, you hit that fence. I was like, I didn't even know. Luckily, the people who owned the fence were actually fine about it, and they didn't like sue me. I think the insurance company paid for their fence to be fixed again, but then what they did do was they were very sneaky about it, because instead of just replacing the fence they had, they got like this expensive fence. They must have had the money at the time, because they would have paid it themselves, and then the insurance company would have paid them. So like they probably had this like old cheap little wooden fence. I crashed into it. Now they've got like, I don't know, like the gates, you see it like Buckingham Palace. Yeah, we want to get like security, like Fort Knox. Is that what you call it? We want to get what do you call them? What do you call them with like the prison cells where like the guys up in the thing, lookout towers? They probably have like lookout towers and stuff in their house now. Probably not. Like, but I never seen it. The boss said to me about a month later, he was just like, yeah, they took the mick out of us. They went and got some really expensive fence, and then we've had to pay for it. And I'm like, sorry, I didn't know. And even if I did know, it wouldn't have made any difference. The accident happened. Accidents happen. But then, this went on for ages. I had a little thing in my head. I was like, right, let's see if I can whittle it down. So I was pretty much banging the truck every day. So I was like hitting a curb, and then I was counting that as a knock. And then I was driving down like a country lane. A branch hits the thing, hits my wing mirror, knocks it off. That was a knock. So I was going from, I don't know, like 5 knocks a day. And then I was like, try and get that down to 2. And then it was like getting it down to 2. And then it was like 1 a day. And then crashed into something else, somebody's fence or something, or like somebody's wall. And I'm like, but this, I started like whittling it down to like 1 knock a week and then 1 a month. So I had to like train myself. But it is a common thing. If you're an HGV driver and you're gonna crash into something, aren't you? And one thing I tell you need to do is get yourself a decent semi-truck HGV sat-nav. See if you use a car one. If you just use like Google Maps, it's going to send you down places where you can't fit, basically. And I learned that the hard way. Jesus. Some of those, I went down, I remember going, I just used like, what did I do? I actually downloaded an HGV sat-nav from my phone, from like Apple Store. And I think I paid like 12 quid for it. And I was like, boom, that's me sorted. No, it was taking me down like town centres in like a big massive like 12 tonner. So I'm like driving down and I'm like bricking it. And I'm like, I shouldn't be down this road. I shouldn't be down this road. Maybe I missed a sign. I don't know. And then it's like, turn around this corner. And I'm like trying to turn around this corner. I'm like, I can't turn around this corner. And then there's like bollards everywhere. And I remember going down, I can't remember what town it was, but I remember going down this high street with all these bollards, whatever you call them, everywhere. And that's what happened. It was like a mini roundabout and I had to turn around the roundabout. And I was like, I can't turn around. Like it was too long and the turn was too tight. So I had to like reverse back. But I held up everybody. The amount of traffic I caused that day was unbelievable. And the only thing that I could do was back up. And the problem I had was there was a whole load of traffic behind me. So I was like, what the hell do I do? And the thing is, everybody was there. It was a busy high street. And what did they all do? Get their phones out and start recording it because they wanted me to crash. Instead of helping me, they were like, oh, look at this idiot. Look at this idiot. Luckily, there was a couple of nice people there and they were like moving the cars back. And then it took about an hour, but I managed to reverse back and then get out of that place. But it's even thinking about it now, it gives me anxiety. Right? Why do people do that? If you see like a truck or an HGV or something like that, and it's, the driver's clearly struggling, why do people just get their phones out? This is going to go over TikTok. Help the person. Help that person. But that's one of the things that, at the very beginning, whenever I, was using them kind of sat navs and stuff, I was like, this is going to be, this job is a horrible job. But then I ended up spending close to £600 buying an HGV, an actual HGV truck sat nav that told you where all the low bridges were, knew where you couldn't go, told you where you could stop at night. So if you wanted to stop somewhere, like on a night out or whatever like that, I would tell you where to go. So if you are an HGV driver or you want to be one, make sure you get an HGV sat nav, a good one. Because if you get a crap one, guess what? You're going to be crashing. You're going to be sent down places you can't go. One thing I used to hate was trying to find farms. So I used to look at my manifest, that's what they used to call them, and you're looking at your drops, and the first thing I used to look at was like, which one of these is a farm? Going down, and then you can see it. Because it's like a name, and then it's like a country lane or something like that, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta go to this farm. So then you got Google Maps out, and then you look at it, and you think to yourself, oh, it's just off a main road, and then it's down a little road or whatever. Should be all right. Looks okay in Google Maps. And then you get there, and you're like, you see the road you have to go down, and it's like that, tiny. You could barely fit your head through it. But yet I've got to get this massive wide truck going down this place. The amount of times I've like doing articulated lorries, and then you see a farm, your brain, like, you just know, like what's ahead of you, and you panic before you. The stress of it is just unbelievable. I remember going down this country lane one time, and I had to find this farm. And another thing, finding the things. Like, if you knew exactly where it is, then then that's okay-ish. But if you don't know where it is, and you're driving a truck down all these country lanes, and you end up going past the house, that's when everything goes mad. That's when you're like stressful, because you're going down this tiny little country lane, and then it's like turn right, and you look, and you're like, I can't turn right. I'll try and turn left. Oh, look, I can't turn left. The only thing I can do is reverse the whole way back. I've done it before where I went down like a 3-mile road or a 2-mile road or a 1-mile road. I can't remember. It was a long road, and I couldn't turn left or right, and I had to reverse the whole way back up in an Arctic lorry. Like, the stress I was under that day was immense. I'm pretty sure there's like a high heart attack rate or something like that for truck drivers, because it's the worst. I think it's the worst job ever. I mean, I've had my HGV for 10 years, and luckily I've been, drawing caricatures over the last couple of years. So I've not had to use it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'll ever do an HGV driving job again because of the level of stress that you're under. It's insane. Bear with me while I take a swig of the old... That's not water, that's vodka. It's like a litre of vodka. It's not. Let's see if I can cut that bit out, me drinking. But it's the worst job on the planet, I think. And what else is there? Other drivers, right? And we're talking about car drivers. See, when they see an HGV, they think, oh, I can go faster than this guy. I can do whatever I want to him. I can cut him up on the road. I can do whatever. I can force him off the road, and he won't do anything. Wrong button. Do you know what I used to do? So if somebody cut me off, right, or did something like try to ram me off the road or whatever, I always had like a dash cam. That's another thing. Get a sat nav, get a dash cam. Definitely need one of them. A lot of vehicles nowadays, I think, come with a dash cam on it, but you need to get one. The amount of like people who like cut me off and all this kind of stuff, and then like almost crashed into me. And if they did that, and then they'll just blame you, then I think there's a saying like, if you're an HGV driver, you're guilty until proven innocent. So any veteran HGV drivers out there, you would know what I'm talking about. If somebody crashed into you, they'll just be like, oh no, you crashed into me, and then you're the guilty one. And I'm like, they crashed into me, how's that fair? You know what I mean? But if you get a sat nav, a dash cam, then you've got like actual footage, and you'd be like, no, there you go, you see, you came into my lane and crashed into me, not the other way around, fool. But what I used to do, so if somebody, if I take a slip road or whatever, and then a car comes in and then forces its way in front of me, and I have to slam the brakes on or something like that, and it almost causes a crash, and then the person drives off, I go home, get the dash cam footage, look at the number plate, and then I run a vehicle check on it. And if it's uninsured or not taxed or no MOT, I reported them. I'm like, haha. Now who's laughing? You know what I mean? So that's a good little tip for you HGV drivers out there. Get yourself a dash cam if you've not already got one. And then if anybody cuts you off or anything like that, do a vehicle check on them. And it's so satisfying whenever... I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but when you actually see that it's not taxed, or you see that it's not insured, the joy you get reporting them is immense. Then all of a sudden, oh, you cut me off, I'm very angry about that. Oh, you're uninsured. Ha, reported you. Now I'm fine. You know what I mean? So do that. I've had cases where people like cut me off, and then I beep the horn at them, and then they're sticking their finger out and beeping the horn back at me, and I'm like, you're the one in the wrong. And then I would be angry about that all day, and I'm like, he cut me off. And then I, in frustration, beat the horn at him. Instead of him going sorry, he gives me the finger and drives off, or the that sign. And I'm like, you are such a horrible person. Check the vehicle, not insured. I'm like, thank you. Report. Haha, you're getting your car took off you. So do that, and you'll be surprised how many people actually drive on the road not taxed or insured. And I think if you're not taxed, your insurance isn't valid, isn't it? Something like that. Or if your car's not MOT'd, then your tax is not valid, which means your insurance is not valid. It's something like that. I don't know. But I mean, I've had people trying to overtake me on, like, there was a video I had. I didn't save it though, But I was going to Shrewsbury, and there's a hill, and it's like up and down, so it's like a wavy, loads of blank spots basically. So it's like double white lines on the road. And for any Americans listening to this or watching this, if you have two solid lines going down the middle of a road in the UK, it means you can't overtake, because you might crash because you can't see around a corner or whatever. I had some idiot one time overtaking me, and I would say about halfway up. Like, I was on a 40, what was I on? I was on an articulated lorry, and he got about halfway up, and then the car came out of nowhere and was coming down, and he kept going. I had to slow down. And even though I slowed down, that car that was coming towards us ended up off the road. And this car just drove off. That other car didn't crash. It went onto the grassy bit, but I looked and they were back on the road again. But it was almost like a head-on collision. What did I do? Dashcam, report him for dangerous driving. Never heard anything back, but I'm pretty sure that, that guy lost his license. But it's other people as well. Like, if you're backing into somewhere, like if you have a delivery and it's on a high street or near a high street or something like that, and you have to back in. Like, I used to deliver to a place in Queensperry, and you have to reverse into it, and it's on a busy road. Now, I used to put my hazards on, and then I would stick my hand out the window to tell the person behind me that I'm about to reverse into this place. Right? Now, a lot of people, they get it. They get what you're doing. So they'll stop, and they'll give you a load of space to back in. Because if you're backing in this way, like on the right way, you can't see what's going on the other side. And it's, if you know that the car's stopped and there's nothing there, then you can just whip straight in, and you'll do it quicker. There's a lot of people who are like impatient, and they'll try and, they'll get too close to you, or they'll try and get around you as you're turning, thinking that they're saving themselves time. I'm like, no, if you were to give me space, I will just whip that vehicle straight in, and away you go. But these people, like, they're coming up, and then I'm trying to back in, and then I can't see them, but I know they're there. So then I had to get out of the truck, look to see where they are, get back in, reverse back. Like, it takes longer. If you see a truck driver backing in somewhere, give him loads of room, and you'll be surprised how quickly that person can back in. And then you could go. And then guess what? He'd be like, thank you. And you'd be like, thank you. And you feel good about yourself. Right? Do that. I mean, I remember going to this place, like, and, when you tell people and they stop, I was just straight back in, because I was doing that same run pretty much twice a week. So if you're reversing into somewhere and you're doing it like twice or maybe 3 times a week, you get good at it, and you can just whip straight in. But then when you got people who are like, as you're backing in, you can't see because your trailer's there, and then they're mounting the curbs, not just to get around you. You're just like, kill yourself. Yeah, kill yourself. But boils my blood. And then one thing I hate as well is people don't use their indicators. See, if you're approaching a roundabout, right, and you're fully loaded, it's not easy for you just to pull off. You have to slow right down. If you see a car coming and there's no indication, like it's not telling you it's putting off, you think it's coming towards you, you'll have to slow right down and then stop, and then this person just cuts off, just turns left or turns right, doesn't even indicate, and I'm just like, start the truck again. Like, indicate. See, these people don't indicate. Where's my... That's you. All you have to do is just move that little thing down and then tell people that you're turning off a roundabout, or that you're turning left or right or whatever. It's not hard. And then, if people, when people do it, and I can see them, and I'm like, oh, this person's turning off, I can just keep going and then go safely, but, effortlessly, just go along and don't have to stop. And see, whenever you have to stop, and then your whole load at the back's all shaking, and then the person just drives up. Like, see them people? And that's not just HGV driving, that's car driving as well. See, if I'm seeing somebody coming up and I'm like, oh, this person must be going straight, I stop the car and then they turn off and then they're just in their own little world. I hate this. I hate your guts. So selfish. And then speaking of other ones as well, like if you're on a motorway and you get this twat in front of you, right, in a car that can do 70 miles per hour, this person wants to do 49 miles per hour, and then you go into the overtaking lane, the middle lane or whatever it is, to overtake this person. You get about halfway past them and then they speed up and drive off. You know what I mean? Wrong button. This is a proper rant, this episode. And, you know, I've had it so many times where people do that, where they're very slow and then you overtake them or go to overtake them and then they drive off and then you go back into that lane and then they start slowing down again. Idiots. Absolute idiots. Really angers me. What else we got? You know, this is a job. What's the going rate? What is the going rate for an HGV driver? Because I think class 2, so the rigid, the C license one, class 2, I'm pretty sure it's only like £13 an hour. Like minimum wage. What the hell is minimum wage? Class 2 wage. That's wages. What's it range from? So per hour, I'll do per hour. Class 2 hourly rate. £14.56 per hour. I don't know what that is in dollars, but for a class 2 driver, I mean, when I was driving, that was a class 1 wage. £15 an hour was like a class 1 wage, and then a class 2 wage was like £10 or £11. That's whenever the minimum wage was like £8 something or £9 something. But even then, £15 an hour for, you know, you having to deal with other road users like that. You have to deal with going down country lanes. You have to deal with all sorts of stuff. It's not worth it. £14.56 an hour. What about class 1? That's probably about 7. And this is in the UK as well. Competitive rates from £24.41 to £27.82 per hour. So that's went up. £30 an hour. Class 1. Now here's the thing, right? Class 2, it doesn't matter if it's smaller than a class 1 vehicle. Like, you still get put into stupid places. Class 1, you're going to like, you're on the motorway probably a lot of the time. And then you're going to like big places like, massive warehouses where they have bays and stuff. Even though it's bigger, you're almost like less likely to be in a situation where you're, gonna be somewhere where you shouldn't be, basically. But I didn't realize that. That's actually went up. £27 an hour. Well, £28 an hour. So what's that? What's the so that must be like 50,000-60,000 then, is it? Let me just check. Salary. So that one's saying £20 to £24 an hour. This includes holidays. But class 1 driver, trying to think, year pay? I don't know. Year pay. Come on, would you? 30 to 45,000 plus per year. 45,000 a year. That's not worth it. That's not worth it. So that's probably about £500, £600 a week. Let me just see. Maybe even less than that. So say 45,000. That must be like a benchmark or whatever. 45,000 divided by 52 because there's 52 weeks. £865 a 50, whatever. Anyway, not worth it. Bottom line, button. See, now you can even see me trying to find these buttons. But not worth it. I mean, what is minimum wage? Like, all the stuff you had to deal with. What's minimum wage? Minimum wage UK. £12.21 on a go. Go somewhere, pack a few boxes or something like that. No stress whatsoever. Plus, you get home every night. HGV is like long hours. You're talking 60 hours a week. Like 60 hours a week, like 45,000. You're mad. You're absolutely mad. One thing that made me question being an HGV driver was I don't want to incriminate myself here. Well, do you know what? It was ages ago. So I used to work over my breaks so I could get home on time, right? So I would put it on break, but still like load the vehicle or something like that. And then I'd be like, happy days. I've clawed back like a half an hour. That means I can get back to the yard on time so I can go home. But then I was doing that and then going back to the yard. And then the boss was like, because sometimes you want to beat traffic and that kind of stuff. And then the boss was like, oh, you're back early. Send them back out again. And I'm like, what? Yeah, just go and do that one delivery down there. Instead of going, you did a good job, go home. It was like, go back out again. How many hours of driving do you have left? Oh, go back out again. And then, this could be like 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 5:30 or whatever. And then I'm getting ready to go back out again. And then this guy, my boss, was getting in his big fancy car and driving home to his family so that, so they can have dinner and have a wonderful conversation with each other. And I'm like, what about me? I have to like go out. What about my dinner? What about, you know what I mean? So by me giving up my time, I was funding him having a lovely life, a nice family life. And I was stuck in this truck driving around like an idiot. And that's when I questioned it. And then that's when, hey, started my own business. And now I'm not doing 60 hours a week. I call it modern day slavery, truck driving, HGV driving, because you're getting pennies as far as I'm concerned. Compared to like what the work is, it should be £50 an hour or £60 an hour because it's a skill, truck driving, especially if you've been doing it for a lot of years where you can just like reverse into anywhere. But you don't have a home life. Like you're always out on the road and nights out as well. So your truck might have a bed in it. See, if you see that, you're like, I'm going to be night out. And they could be like, oh, we'll give you £20 if you stay for the night. So they'll send you down to like, I don't know, London. And if you're like, I got to go the whole way down to London, do a couple of drops and then come back. I started in Telford. That's like 4.5 hours in a truck just to get down to London. And you can only like drive, do you know what the driving hours? I don't even know if I can remember them. You can only drive for 4.5 hours and you have to have a 45-minute break. Then, I wonder if I can remember this. Then you have to have a 45-minute break and then you can drive for another 4.5 hours. So that's 9 hours. And then I think you can extend it to 10 hours. So you can have 2 breaks and then drive for another hour. But you can only do that like twice a week. What am I, a truck driver? It's something like that. And then what else is there? In fact, I'm going to refresh myself. So, UK Autobahn and HGV driving hours regulations. I hate that word. Regulations. Right, that's 4-minute video. It's a bit too long. Easy way to keep your track of your... Let's have a little listen to this guy.
Right, here is a quick question from Macca asking about how to keep track of your working time or your other work when you're not driving, at rest, all that sort of jazz. So basically, the easiest way...
All that sort of jazz. In it. This guy's clearly a cockney. Isn't that what you call him? Cup.
be to keep some sort of mental note. But if you're very new to the game, you're just starting out, whatever, you might find that a little bit more difficult. But the truck has got stuff to help you.
Does it?
First being your tacho head. Now, you could simply just scroll down. This will be your other work. This is how long I've been on site here. If you flick through and put it onto rest.
What an accent. Like that's a proper English accent, isn't it? All right, Mucker. You're all right. You're all right, kid.
Like this, obviously, when you go back down, obviously it's got to record for a minute first, but then you'll start getting your rest time. There you go.
Like he's not saying anything about driver's hours, is he? I'm trying to recap him.
Now, without going into the full working time directive, driving time directive, 2 weekly rest periods and all that, let's keep it very basic. I presume you're asking for a day-to-day, how you're going to run it. So start your day from the time of the shift you start. So you start at 6 in the morning. Count 15 hours.
That's another thing. 2 o'clock in the morning starts, 3 o'clock in the morning starts, 5 o'clock.
Forward from there. That is going to be your absolute limit. Now, out of them 15 hours, you've got 9 hours of driving. Let's keep the extend it to 10 out of it for a minute. Let's just keep...
That's what I was saying to you. Still in there. It's all still in there.
Keep it to 9 hours. So what you've got left after that is going to be your other work, providing all that time was spent driving. But let's say, for instance, you've got to site, it's only been an hour drive, and for instance, you may be high-abbing, because no high-ab driver would ever put their tacho on rest while they're unloaded. But let's ignore that for a minute.
Yeah.
So now you'll be on the working time directive. Now, usually if you have your 15 minutes before 6 hours and 30 minutes before 9 hours, this will keep you all in tune with the driving time directive. Or you could flip it completely around the other way and say that it's 4.5 hours driving. Obviously, then you'll have your 45-minute break. That will bring you into line with the working time directive, thus keeping it all harmonious. Now, as a few other drivers on your comment have said, keeping a physical driver's log, a notebook, is going to be your easiest way when you first start.
That's one thing I never did. Keeping a log of my own driving hours. I never did that. Never. It's probably why I got fined so many times for going over my hours.
Now, but you will get the gist of it. It sounds horrendous. It isn't that hard. Don't make it any harder than what it has to be, and it will start to click. But other than that, keep it lit, happy trucking, and yeah, this is sort of the no fluff sort of version of the working time, driving time directive.
I mean, didn't educate me one single bit there. I might have to do this 4-minute one. But it's confusing, isn't it? Like, it is so confusing trying to figure this all, trying to figure it all out. And you're getting paid pennies, as far as I'm concerned. There is a 4-minute one, but I don't want to... But let's see, right? Let's see, not only if you can understand this, but let's see if it makes any sense to you. And if you are an HGV driver and you need some, reminding, let's play this one.
Explain the basic rules for HGV driving hours and working time directive. Now, there are some other rules.
I hate that. Working time directive. This is a working time directive.
You will need to know to pass your test, but these ones that I'm going to talk about in this video are the ones that we typically have to deal with on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. We can drive for a maximum of 9 hours per day. We can extend that time to 10 hours per day, twice a week.
So I was right. Who would have knew? Twice a week.
Our weekly driving limit would be 56 hours a week in total.
That's right.
That's based on working 6 consecutive days, which is the maximum number of days we can work before we have to have our weekly rest, which I'll come to later on. There are also restrictions on how long we can drive for over a rolling 2-week period, and that is 90 hours in total. Meaning, if we did 56 driving hours in week 1, in week 2 we would be able to drive 34 hours, and then in week 3 the rolling total would include that 34, so we could drive for up to another 56. Typically, drivers will try and stick...
Do you understand this? He's following it?
around 45 hours per week. We must take a break of 45 minutes for every 4.5 hours of driving that we do in a day. That can be split into 2 breaks, the first one being 15 minutes, the second one being 30 minutes. It cannot be the other way around, or of course we can have a full 45-minute break in one go. After we've had our 45-minute break,
I've never understood that. So you can have, right, so you basically have to have a 45 minutes break, right? You can take it as one go, or you can break it down 15 minutes and then 30 minutes. But you have to do 15 first and then 30 minutes. Why can't you do 30 and then 15? Surely if you're a lot tired, you know, you could have a nice rest and then you could snooze. Not snooze and then have a nice rest. Why not? I don't understand it. Why not, if you give the option to break it in half or like just split it, then surely, you know, oh, you have to take 15 minutes and then half an hour? Can I not do half an hour and then 15 minutes? No. Why not? Why not? Why not?
Our 4.5 hour driving time resets. Each day we must take a minimum of 11 hours uninterrupted break within that 24-hour period. We can reduce this to 9 hours per day, 3 times per week. That all depends on how many hours in a day that you've worked as to what break is counted towards which. Each week we must take an uninterrupted break of at least 45 hours. This is typically taken over the weekend, but not all job roles allow that. For example, supermarket deliveries, you may be working at the weekends and may have a Tuesday and a Wednesday as your...
Maybe. I think they work every weekend.
allocated weekly rest period days off for that week. We can work for a maximum of 13 hours per day, meaning if we start at 6 a.m, we must be finished all of our duties by 7 p.m. We can extend to 15.
Now that happens a lot, right? Starting at 6 and finishing at 7. That's the whole day gone. And you're doing that. You're basically giving up 5 days of your life. Because the thing is, if you start at 6 o'clock in the morning, right? Then you finish at 7 p.m. By the time you get home, you could be an hour away from where you're working. So you would actually be leaving the house at 5 and then getting back at 8. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, that gives you like 4 hours. But even then, if you want to get 8 hours sleep, which is you should do. So if you come back at 8, 9, 10. I'm confusing myself. But you know what I mean? Like you literally go home and then get ready to go to bed. Maybe have something to eat and then get ready to go to bed. And then you're up and do it again. So you would have to be in bed by 10 p.m. in order to get 8 hours sleep. No, 9. Even thinking about it, it just whittles down. You basically
hours per day.
You have to go home, get ready for the next day. You literally go to sleep, get up and do it again. And then you're doing that all week. You finish, let's say you finish on Friday, but you finish at like 7 p.m. on a Friday. Then, Saturday, you're probably rest. Like I was like catching up on my sleep on a Saturday. So like half the day on Saturday was gone. And then Sunday I was going to bed early because I had to get up at 6. It's not 5 days. It's 60 hours a week. It's a whole thing. You're always in the truck. Even thinking about it, that's
3 times per week.
And you're getting what? £3 an hour more per hour than minimum wage?
Meaning if we start at 6 a.m, we must be finished all our duties by p.m. All our driving time is recorded on the tachograph, and that not only...
That's pretty much all we need to know. This is how long can you drive for. HGV driving hours explained by Ashley Hale, UK. It's on YouTube. Ashley Hale, UK on YouTube. That's where I got that from. But it's horrible. You're always driving. You're always getting caught up. Stupidity. If you want to see stupidity, get in your car and drive down the street or down the road. It won't be long before you see it. And then not only that, truck drivers, right, have to put up with all of that. But you know what else? you've got DVLA or DVA, DVSA or whatever it is in America, whatever it is in Northern Ireland, because I think it's different there. It's DVA, I think. But in Britain, it's DVLA. I don't even know what it stands for. And these people can just pull you over. Oh, this load's not secured properly. Fine. Fine. Fine for this. Fine for that. Fine for this. They're not even government funded. They're private. I think they're privately funded, which means they have to find you, like give you a fine in order for them to get paid. And they're always out. They're always everywhere. Pulling vehicles over. Checking everything. You know? Oh, this little thing isn't clipped on properly. Fine. Horrible. This is all the stuff you have to put up with as an HGV driver. And then don't even get me started on CPC. Driver qualification card thing. I don't even know what CPC stands for. Compliant something. I've always kept my CPC up to date because my license is up to date. What other? My taco. That's the thing that records all your driving, your taco card. That's always, up to date, in date. By the way, you have to pay for them. And then you have this thing that was introduced a few years ago called CPC course, where you have to do like 35 hours of training to make sure that you're qualified. It's a qualification thing. Even though you get your license, that should be, qualified. No, the CPC as well. I've always had that CPC, right? For 10 years now? I might have to update it now because I think it's out of date this December, I think. Might be already out of date. I don't know. But you can't drive without it. And it's a scam. It's a complete scam. So you have to either do 5 courses, 5-day courses, whatever it is, in one go. Or you can do one a year, I think, because it's every 5 years. You have to do this course. You could do one a year, which is like £50-60 a course or something. By the way, that's going to go up. They're going to be like £100 each. Mark my words. This is all stuff you have to pay for. Your money. That you're working hard for. And then you get your card. Oh, well, there you go. Your CPC's up to date. You can drive the vehicle. Hey, I passed the test. I can drive it. Pointless thing. The only people who have ever looked for my CPC was the people who are hiring you. See, other than that, never used it. I actually used my CPC card to help me with this. I was using that to get the air bubbles out. That's the most I've used it since I got it. 10 years ago? Well, 6-7 years ago? Whatever it was. See, other than that, do you need it? No. I think a lot of older generation drivers, truck drivers, they all stopped working because of that card. And then whenever UK left the EU, it was pretty funny because all these foreign trucks used to be over here when UK was in Europe, and then when they left, all the foreign drivers couldn't come over. All of a sudden, there was a crisis because the truck drivers, they're valuable. See a truck driver, right? I mean, even COVID, we were key workers. You know what I mean? You cut me off on the road, you don't even care anything about me. But now all of a sudden, and you're happy to find me and all this kind of stuff, But all of a sudden now, you're a key worker. See if all the HGV drivers, right, all came together and was like, right, let's not drive for a month. This country, the United Kingdom, it would die. Do you know the impact that would have on the economy and all this kind of stuff? HGV drivers are valuable to the running, the veins of this country. Do you know what I mean? They're vital, is what I'm trying to say. And they just get treated like crap. Underpaid, underappreciated. Working so many hours, not having a family life. It's insane. Absolutely insane. The way truck drivers get treated and the pay is just pathetic. Wrong button. That's DBLA coming after you. Pull over. I've been talking for ages. Anything else I want to plug on? I think I've done it. I think I've covered everything. Oh, loads not being loaded right. I think any HGV driver would agree with me there. It's the driver's responsibility to make sure that the load is loaded correctly or secured correctly. But then you've got these idiots who wrap up a pallet and put like one sort of layer of like stretchy filling, whatever you want to call it, and then the thing collapses. Or they put like soft stuff in like boxes. They put that in the bottom and then you put the heavy stuff on top. And then as soon as you turn a corner, collapses. Whose fault is it? The driver's, apparently. Guilty until proven innocent, you know? I had one time, I'll finish on this. I had sheet metal, and the person there was like loads of sheets of steel, I think it was, like stainless steel, and it was fastened to a pallet. But this is like razor sharp steel that was fastened with like plastic wrapping thing instead of like metal ones. And it loaded onto my truck. As soon as I got out of the yard, turned the corner, snapped, and then all these sheets of metal went right through the curtain, all over the road. Whose fault was it? The driver's. Mine. Until I argued that wasn't, secured properly. And then they were like, oh, yeah, you're right. And that was it. Horrible. Absolutely. So my hat goes off to you drivers, HGV drivers and semi-truck drivers. I don't know what it's like in different countries, but hats off to you for sticking it. And I know what everybody's probably thinking. Well, in the future, there's going to be driverless trucks. So there's HGV drivers, or there's not going to be any need for them. Do you know what I say to that? Happy days. Because they'll find another way of making money. And they will have a life. So, you know what I'm saying. But there we go. Whenever I write stuff down on the sheet, there's an hour and 10 minutes now. That was actually easy. I could go on for more. I might do a part 2. But there we go. So thanks for watching and listening, guys. This is to be on YouTube and Spotify. My little studio is looking well. Pretty happy. So yeah, let's onwards and upwards for this podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody. And I don't know how to end this. Did I just stop? Tune in to the next one, which will be in a couple of days, I reckon. But thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.